Good morning, everyone, to K-Math Radio that has gone video. I have a little bit of data left on my cellular service, so let's use it. Let's not waste any time. Okay, how's everybody doing this morning? Doing okay. All right, we are in my barn. So animals running in and out, yes, okay. You'll hear crows outside, all right. But let's see if we can get some of this done on the board here, okay? So we're ready to start with a new section, and I gotta be honest, this section is not the most fun, okay? Of everything that we're gonna do in this class, this is the one that's the most technical or the most mathematical. But for some reason, it is a requirement. It's one of our student learning outcomes, so we've got to do it. So we might as well just get through it, and then we can move on to some more fun stuff, okay? So what we're gonna look at here is logic. Right? And in math, logic is like speaking a different language. So the first thing that we're going to do is go through a number of definitions so that we get the idea here. So when you talk about logic, the first definition we need is a statement. So a statement is a sentence that is either true or false, not both. Okay, so a statement is a sentence that's true or false, so it can be something that is not true, like I could say, aliens live in my nostrils. I hope that's not true, but that is still a statement. So here is an example of a couple of statements. School starts on Monday. Okay, it's a statement. Now, if this was a couple weeks ago, it would have been true. School did start on a Monday. Now we're already going, so it's not true anymore, but this is a statement, okay? They can be mathematical, so we might see something like 5 plus 6 equals 16. And remember what I said, they do not have to be true. So is 5 plus 6 equal to 16? No, but it's still a statement, okay? It's a mathematical statement. Another one might be fish swim, okay? Fish swim, it's a statement. In this case, it is true, okay? All right, so here are a couple of examples of things that are not statements. So, go away. Okay, go away is not a statement. It's not a statement of truth or of fiction. So it's not a statement at all. Another one might be a question. So what are you doing? So these are both not statements. And the way I kind of always remember not statements, they're things that weren't statements, is if you can put some sort of punctuation on it that's not a period. So go away, or a question with a question mark. So if we have anything that's a command or a question, these guys are not statements. So we're looking at commands or questions here. Okay, so we're not really interested in the not statements, okay, the guys that don't work, we're interested in the statements. So let's head back over there and talk about what we're going to do with these statements. So we're going to look at conjunctions first off, okay? So a conjunction. So this says we can form a conjunction of two statements joining them with the word and. Okay, so conjunction means and. And in the English language, we have to be very careful that we use things properly because the English language is a little bit a messy language. So a lot of times we use the word and when we mean or. So we really need to make sure that what we're talking about is and. So and means that both things are happening. We want this and that. We want both of them together, okay? So and means both, okay? Now, notation-wise, we have mathematical notation for this. So we say, so if P and Q are statements, P and Q are the most common variables for statements. P with this kind of carrot-looking thing, Q, that's the notation for conjunction. So, and it's just said P and Q. Okay, so that little guy mathematically is the word and. P and Q is the conjunction. Okay, so conjunction means and. Now the other one that we're going to look at here in this section is called a disjunction. Okay, so let's look at the disjunction. So this says we can form a disjunction by joining two statements with the word or. So a disjunction is the word or. Disjunction means or. So again, using our little notation here, we say, if P and Q are statements, then we say P or Q, okay, so the or looks like a V, okay, P or Q is the disjunction. Okay, now the word or is the one that means one or the other. I want that or I'll take that. Okay, sure, would you be happy with both? Yeah, probably, but we'll take one or the other. And means you need both of them together. And is very inclusive, you gotta have everything. Or means, I'll take one or the other. So very important to keep those two guys straight. Okay. All right, so let's look at an example and deal with our and our or, our conjunction and disjunction. Okay, so here's our example. It says, let P be, I have a quarter. And Q is going to be, I am rich. Now again, both of those are statements, okay? They might be true, they might be false. I do have a quarter. I am not rich though. So the first one in my case is true. The second one, unfortunately, is false, but they are both statements. So what we want to do is we want to find P and Q, okay? P and Q. And we're gonna write that out as a sentence. So that, remember, that notation is the conjunction. It means to join them together with and. So you could say, I have a quarter and I am rich. Now remember, the and means that both of these things are happening. I have a quarter and I am rich. We can also turn this around though and find P or Q. Okay, P or Q. So P or Q is I have a quarter or I am rich. All right, so just combining the two statements together, and what we've done is made kind of just a bigger statement. Now in this first case, this bigger statement, I have a quarter and I am rich, means that both things are happening, and in that case, for me, that is not true, okay? Now down here, this is I have a quarter or I am rich. Now that just means I have to have one or the other. So in this case, yeah, I do have a quarter. So in this case, this is true for me. So, but it's just it's like a compound statement. It's got multiple parts to it. Now, this idea of talking about whether this is true or false leads us to our next kind of operation that we need to look at here. Okay, so once we start talking about true or false, then we're going to talk about the negation. I don't know why I keep putting the cap back on the pen. Okay, so negation. So this says we can form a negation by inserting the word not or don't. Okay. So the negation or the negative basically is saying that I don't have something or I'm not something. So it's taking kind of looking at this in the opposite form. So notation wise, we say if P is a statement, the negation of P, okay, so the negation looks like that little squiggle like that. The negation of P is the negation. And we say that not P. Mathematicians are very, very lazy people. So instead of saying the word negation, we just use the word not, okay? So not P. Okay. So using our example from over here, what if I asked you to find not Q? Okay. So now all we need to do is we need to take the negation of Q. So we need to flip it around, and so instead of I am rich, we're going to say I am not rich. Okay, just stick in the negative word, and then notice how the two statements change each other, right? So now for me, this is true. I am not rich. Okay. All right, let's see. Just for the heck of it, let's find not P. So in not P, we could write this one a little bit. Instead of using the word not, let's use the word don't. So we can say, I don't have a quarter. So again, it's saying the opposite of what we had before. Okay, getting the idea there? Ready for me to make it bigger and uglier? So let's stick with our saying P and Q. So I'm just going to erase this part here. This time, I want us to find not P and Q. Okay. So not P and Q, remember that means and, is gonna be I am, oops, not I am. I don't have a quarter and I am rich. Okay. Now remember, again, these statements, they don't necessarily need to be, like I said, true. They don't even need to make sense. So I don't have a quarter and I am rich. That kind of doesn't really work, does it? But that's not the case. It's still a statement, okay? It's just a statement that's probably false. But that's what we're doing here in this section. So, like I showed you with the statements before here, I said that they can be written in sentences like we're doing in this example, but they can also be written mathematically. So let's do a little example with one that we write mathematically, just so that you can see that. Now, like I said, P and Q are the most common variables that we use for our statements. But if we already have like a P and a Q on the board and we want another statement, you can use whatever letter you like. Whatever letter is your favorite, but a lot of times we go to R. So if we said, let R equal 2 times 7 equals 14. I don't want there to be two equal signs there. So let R be 2 times 7 equals 14. Now that is a statement. In this case, it's a true statement. But what if I asked you to find not R? Okay. Now, what we just want to do is figure out how we're going to write that. So because it's in mathematical form, we're going to leave it in mathematical form. But to change it, or to make it the negative, instead of being 2 times 7 is equal to 14, we'll say 2 times 7 is not equal to 14. Now, moving on a little bit here. When a statement has the word or the words all, some, no. Okay, so those are some examples, all, some, or no. Then the negation is harder. Right, so if you say some people eat pizza, if we want the negation of that, there's no, you would say not some people eat pizza. It's a little bit harder to write that sentence because you don't just include the word not or don't. So when we have this all, the word all in a statement, some or no, we have to think a little bit carefully about how we're going to write our statement. And this is where people do get very confused. So I'm going to put a little table up here so that if you need to come back to it, you can always see how the negation works. So here is the rule. So let's say we have a statement. And then on this side, I'm going to put the negation. So if a statement has the word all in it, and they ask you to take the negation of all is not none. I know that's what we kind of think, all or none, but there's a whole bunch of in between. So if we want to make the negation of the word all, this is going to be some don't. Now, if we have the word some people eat pizza, then the negation is no. No people eat pizza. So the opposite or the negation of some is no. Now, flippity flop, if our statement has no, and we want the negation, that's going to be some. So if nobody likes mosquitoes, the negation is going to be some people like mosquitoes. Not all, some people like mosquitoes. And then finally, if we have some don't, this will be all. So what you're noticing is it's just flippity-flop from what we have above, which is nice, okay? So all goes with some don't, and some goes with no. Doesn't matter which order they come in. All, negation is some don't. Some, the negation is no. Okay, so let's look at some examples using these kind of trickier ones, okay? So let's get new statements up there. So let's let P be some animals are dirty, and Q is going to be all students take math. Okay? Now again, I want to stress that they do not need to be true to be a statement. They do not need to be true. Okay? So don't be getting into that. It's just a statement is either true or false, a sentence that is true or false. So let's say that I want to find not P. Okay? So if P was some animals are dirty and I want not P, the negation, we come over here and we notice that the negation is going to be the word no. So we're going to replace the word some with no animals, not aminals, I'm not for, no animals are dirty. All right, let's also find not Q. So again, not Q was all students take math. So it's really tempting to just say, no students take math, to make that the negation. But remember, all does not go with no, all goes with some don't. So some sorry, I lost my point. Some students, I was trying to figure out how some don't students fits together in Hello Grammar. So some students don't take math. So don't get caught up on the fact the words don't have to come together, okay? So some students don't take math. So that's the negation there. Okay? All right, so one more with this example. Let's find this time. Let's find what we're gonna do. P conjoin not Q. Okay, so P conjoin not Q. Now remember, conjoin means and. And just for a little hint, the way I tried to remember this is that this looks like an A, but just kind of without the line. I used to even just draw on the little line with my pencil. So it was P and not Q. Okay, so remember that's and. So we're gonna say P, so some animals are dirty. And now we want not Q, so that's this one. Some students don't take math. Alrighty. Okay, so I hope you're getting the hang of this with just the wording. Okay, so it's basically like grammar. Okay, it's like mathematical grammar class, and that is seriously what this lecture is about. So to help this get a little bit more firm, we're going to do a couple more examples, but we're going to do them in a little bit of a different form. We're going to almost work backwards here. So remember, don't forget this little table is going to be your kind of savior when it comes to the all and the some don't. Okay. Okay, so this time I'm going to have two new statements, and we're going to call them T and S. So let's let T be I eat spinach, and S is going to be I am strong. Okay. This time what I'm going to do is I'm going to write out a statement or write out a sentence, and we're going to decide is it a disjunction, is it a conjunction, is it a negation? We're going to write that out. Okay, so let's say the sentence was, I eat spinach and I am strong. All right, now in this statement, we have both of the above statements, right? With the word and. So and means we're using this notation, right? So we want T and S. Okay, so can you go from the sentence to the mathematical statement? So how about I don't eat spinach? Okay, I don't eat spinach. Okay, now we're looking at the T statement, but what are we doing to the T? Do we want T or do we want not T? Right, so I don't, which means we want not T. Okay. One more of these guys. So what if I had I don't eat spinach, or I am strong? Now the word or, remember, is different, so that's going to be the disjunction. So I don't eat spinach. Now we already have that guy, that's the not T. But we want or, and remember, if that's and, that means that that guy is the or. And I am strong is just the S, so we'll just go S. All right, now I'm going to make it difficult. Well, maybe, I don't know. It just depends on how your grammar works here. Okay. So sticking with our T and our S, it is not the case that I eat spinach and am strong. Okay, so you can almost think about putting a little comma there. When you see it is not the case, okay, that is another way of talking about a negation. But it is not the case that I eat spinach and I am strong. Those guys are already conjoined together. They are already a conjunction. So we want the I am spinach and I am strong. We already have that guy. So what we're looking at is this one. But what we need to tell people that is that this is not the case. So it doesn't mean that we're going to put a squiggle here and a squiggle there. What it means is we're going to put parentheses and put the squiggle or the not out front. So not, and then T and S. So it's the whole thing is not true. And we want to be very clear that that is not the same as not T and not S, okay? Not the same thing. Okay, right? Make sure. Okay, and then one more, and then we can be done with this lecture. So the last one says, I am not weak. Okay. Now, that was not one of our statements, was it? Okay, and so, but it's related to one of our statements, isn't it? So the idea is they're giving us a negation. I am not weak. So what we might need to do in some cases is we might need to kind of rework that's my 30-minute timer. Luckily, we will be done in a minute, and so it worked perfectly. We need to rework this. So not weak, could we write that as I am strong? And then I am strong would just be S, wouldn't it? Okay, so sometimes we have to rework the statement a little bit in order to figure out which one of the statements we're actually looking at. Okay. All right, so I know, like I said, it's not the most fun part of math. I don't really think it's anybody's favorite part of math, but every mathematician has to do this, and like I said, for some oddball reason, we have to do it too. So at least we're learning our logic statements, okay? Alrighty, so for homework, you're looking at the logic in Joe Vasta's book, okay? So we've done the logic here, and then we will move on with another lecture in a little bit. Okay, hopefully this works smoothly. All right, I will see you next time.